So, what if history as we know it is a lie? Today, we're diving into a book called History Hacking, and it makes a really provocative case that our entire historical timeline isn't a record of the past, but a deliberate, artificial construct. Okay, before you write that off, let's start with a pretty startling fact from a totally mainstream historical institution. Back in 1986, a major Congress on Medieval Studies concluded that a staggering two-thirds of all royal charters from the early Middle Ages are forgeries. Now, this isn't some fringe theory, this is a foundational problem that historians admit to, and it really sets the stage for a much, much bigger question. If the documents are fake, what does that say about the history they're supposed to describe? And this is where the book's central thesis really comes into play. It argues that we have to separate two fundamentally different concepts, the past and history. Let's break this down because it's important. The past is what actually happened. It's unchangeable. It just is. We can't alter it. We can only be ignorant of it. History, on the other hand, that's our attempt to describe the past. It's a model, a story, a human creation. And just like any human creation, it can be flawed, it can be biased, or, as this book argues, it can be completely invented. You know, as the analyst Eugene Gabowich puts it, the moment we even refer to the past, we make history. So what that really means is we aren't studying the past directly, we're studying a model of it. And any good model can and absolutely should be tested. So how exactly do you hack history? Well, the book's answer comes from a field you probably wouldn't expect, computer science. The core method here is called computational thinking. It's all about using concepts like pattern recognition and algorithms to understand really complex systems. History hacking basically treats our official timeline as one giant operating system. And if you start analyzing it like code, you just might find some bugs or, some hidden features that were never meant to be seen. So history hacking applies this very data-driven toolkit to our timeline. It uses statistical analysis to hunt for repeating stories and structural analysis to spot these unnatural, almost algorithmic patterns in the lists of kings and rulers. It even brings in things like calculus and number theory to find anomalies and hidden codes. This is a completely new way of looking at the historical narrative. All right, let's look at the first major case study from the book. This one focuses on what it claims is a glaring mathematical anomaly hidden in plain sight: the succession of medieval kings. Just take a look at this list of rulers from the Holy Roman Empire. The book points out this bizarrely predictable sequence. You get a Conrad, he's followed by a Henry, then there's a block of other kings, and then another Henry. But it gets weirder. The block of kings in the middle isn't random. It actually grows by one each time, from 3 kings to 4 kings to 5. According to history hacking, this is not a coincidence. This is an algorithm. The book argues that the probability of a real, chaotic succession of births and deaths and power struggles producing such a clean, recursive mathematical formula is pretty much zero. It just looks less like history and more like a programmed list. And to show you just how strange that is, the book presents a control group, the modern British monarchs. Now, this list is messy. It's random. There's no algorithm. There's no recursive growth. According to the book, this is what a real chaotic succession of rulers is actually supposed to look like. But the book's analysis goes way beyond just lists of kings. It claims to have found an even larger pattern, one that's hidden in the very rhythm of history itself. And the key, according to the book, is a repeating cycle of approximately 800 years. So consider the biographical data of Europe's most important rulers. The death of Emperor Augustus in 14 AD seems to be perfectly mirrored by the death of Charlemagne exactly 800 years later. And then you've got the birth of Emperor Charles V, which lands almost perfectly within 2 800-year cycles of Augustus's own birth. Are these just wild coincidences? This 800-year echo isn't just limited to rulers either. The book claims that major historical events follow the exact same rhythm. The great conquests of Rome and its successor city, Constantinople, are separated by 800-year intervals. Key German wars, 800 years apart.
Even the two most devastating plagues in European history, the Justinian Plague and the Black Death, are separated by, you guessed it, about 800 years.
Okay, so if these algorithmic king lists and these 800-year echoes aren't just coincidences, then what are they? Well, the book's answer is radical. They are evidence that our entire timeline is wrong. And here it is. This is the bombshell conclusion of history hacking. It proposes a completely new chronology, where so-called ancient history is a phantom, just a literary creation that's been projected into the distant past. It argues that figures we place in antiquity, like Alexander the Great, actually belong to the European Middle Ages, and that our current era really begins with the Exodus from Egypt. So, to sum up the book's entire argument, the history that we've all been taught isn't some messy, organic record of what really happened. It's a clean, well-structured, and deeply mathematical model. A model that, according to the author, was designed and constructed much, much more recently than we believe. From forged documents to algorithmic king lists, history hacking makes the case that our past is a designed system. And that leaves us with one final, pretty unsettling question. If history really is a construct, who were the architects?